is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee.
Sounds like flags.
30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and young guns Billy Derrick and Michael Cindric. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on a beautiful Monday afternoon in Nashville, Tennessee. Boy, it could not be nicer than it is right now. Enjoy this good weather while you get the chance and get ready, because we're going to have 2 hours of wall-to-wall football talk, which is what you wanted all along. Let's say hello as we call roll to Coach Watson Brown, who joins us from up on the plateau. Watson, how are you?
George, I'm good. I was a good boy, like you always say, over the weekend.
Where are you now?
I did not get in any trouble whatsoever.
That's good.
Of course, I didn't leave the house, so it's hard to get in trouble unless I get in trouble with the wife. And that one, I don't win that battle. So there were no issues there. So I was a good boy all weekend.
How many hours of football did you watch?
However many there were.
If the over-under were 22.
It'd have to be over. I mean, I don't think that there was – once they started at 11 on Saturday, I pretty much saw football. I go in a different room. In the big room I'm in now, you've been in the house, and Brenda's in the other room, and we say bye till Sunday night.
Till death do us part.
Death do us part.
Wow. Billy?
George?
What about you? How many hours?
A lot of hours of football. And on the over, life's too short to bet the under on how many hours of football we're watching this weekend. So it feels like we've got loads of stuff to talk about every Monday. So that's the best part about football season.
Okay, let's check in as we do each and every day during football season. We begin with the Daily Titans update. Terry McCormick on the right. Terry, how are you?
I'm doing well, George. How are you?
Good. How many hours of football do you think you watched this weekend?
Decent amount. I don't know if I could quantify it completely, but a decent amount. Now, I did mix in some baseball as Aaron Judge is trying to get number 61.
Yeah.
So did ESPN.
Yeah. I wonder how that went over.
Not well.
Not at the beginning of the of the end of the Auburn Missouri game. That
Terry was probably the only fan of it.
Him and Michael Kay.
Absolutely.
So Terry, let's start with whatever news you may have on the injury front after the win yesterday against the Raiders. Tell us what you got.
Well, they didn't really delve a whole lot into injuries, as they are kind of hesitant to do so, as you know, George. But yesterday, as he was leaving the locker room, I saw Zach Cunningham, and he had a big old bandage on his left elbow, which leads me to think that could be something that might be an issue for the Titans here, at least in the near future. No announcements or anything of that type today, but certainly a situation worth monitoring as he went out of the game. Fortunately for the Titans, Dylan Cole came in, and he was the guy who tipped that last pass to be able to knock down that 2-point conversion try, and as the Titans held on there for dear life.
Would you like to see the play?
I do.
Billy, do you think we dare show it? This is on Plaster Vision.
Wow.
This is the first play. This is the Raiders touchdown right here, but this next play is the tip, and this is from George's phone.
Plaster Vision.
It looks good.
It does look good. So there's the tip ball that ultimately got him the win. Terry, you were about to say something else.
I was just impressive, George. Plaster Vision is very impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a good day for Plaster Vision. So, Terry, this team seems to be developing the habit of playing not to lose in the second half as opposed to, putting their throat on the opponent. Mike Vrabel talk about that today. Are you concerned about that?
He wasn't asked so much about that. Most of the line of questioning today dealt with Caleb Farley only playing one defensive snap yesterday. In terms of your question and what you asked, he did address that a little bit yesterday in the fact that he said the offense, really kind of struggled to get anything going in the second half, which of course everybody could see. I think one of the things maybe that happens is that you see when the opposing team makes a big adjustment, I think the Titans probably need to try and figure out a way to adjust back. Now, I'll give them credit here on one thing that didn't work in the second half. After they lost 3 yards, which they should not have lost 3 yards on 3rd and 1, giving the ball to Derrick Henry, but the line play broke down. He got stuffed in the backfield. They went for it on 4th and 4. Now, I like the play call. I like the thinking because oftentimes we ridicule them for being way too conservative in their approach. I liked it because if you move the chains there and you go ahead and you get even 3 points, then maybe you put the Raiders out of their misery and end the ball game for all intents and purposes. Didn't work because the pass was a little bit behind Treylon Burks. He kind of misjudged his jump, and that caused him to drop the ball. So, I can't fault the play call there and the line of thinking, but I do think that this team has got to figure out a way to play 4 good quarters of football on both sides of the football, because we saw 2 pretty good quarters against the Giants in the opener. It came back to bite them in the second half. We'll just throw out the disaster that was up in Buffalo because there was nothing good about that. And then yesterday, a good first half again, and then struggling to hang on at the end because they couldn't generate any offense in the final 2 quarters.
Well, okay, I hear what you're saying, but isn't some of that also coaching staff mentality?
Probably. I mean, I think they do have a tendency at times to get a little too conservative to try and, keep ramming Derrick Henry up the middle, and that worked well in the first half, but you had to know that the Raiders were going to adjust to that. Titans only had 86 yards of total offense in the second half, George, after having 275 yards and 16 first downs in the first half. So you have to wonder, how did the faucet just get turned off completely and not ever get going again? And I think that is a cause for concern for this team. They've got to be able to figure things out and keep momentum going in the second half of ball games because it's going to come back and bite them.
Terry, anything else you want to leave us with?
Interesting, I brought up the Farley situation. They put in a guy in Terrence Mitchell who'd been with them exactly 4 days, and he started over Caleb Farley. Basically, if you want to go to Titan Insider and read it, Mike Vrabel explains why Caleb Farley is struggling to get some playing time right now. It sounds like he's having a hard time in reading between the lines. He's having a hard time kind of translating what he's supposed to be doing on the practice field into doing it in the games.
Terry, good report as always. We'll talk more about it with Watson here after the break.
All right, sounds good.
Terry McCormick with his daily Titans update. Let's go to the other update.
Yes, it is time for the other update, but that daily Titans update was brought to you by the Justin Tucker team as well as Sumner Funeral and Cremation. For the Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners, they are proven to be trusted with your most personal asset. The Justin Tucker team, Middle Tennessee's most trusted team in realty. You can call them at 615-906-8458. Also, Sumner Funeral and Cremation, they are sharing their family with yours in your time of need. Now with 2 convenient locations in Gallatin and Hendersonville and online at sumnerfuneral.com. Sumner Funeral and Cremation, traditional, affordable, and dignified. All right, we start first piece of news today coming from college football. George, saw this today. Next Saturday, October the 8th, Tennessee and LSU will kick off at 11 a.m. on ESPN. A lot of fans, in particular LSU fans, not happy about that.
Oh, it's a huge advantage for Tennessee.
Oh, no,
they either have to get so crocked Friday night Well,
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, I saw a tweet saying that the half of Louisiana is not going to be awake yet.
Right.
They'll still be sleeping. But Vandy and Ole Miss is going to kick off at 3:00 next Saturday as well. So Georgia and Alabama are the two teams that are playing on CBS next Saturday, October the 8th.
So Watson, that 11 in the morning thing, to me, it's one of the few places where there's advantage, disadvantage to start time. You get a morning game in Baton Rouge, that's a huge advantage.
Yeah, I used to think that it was an advantage for us at Vanderbilt to catch those 11 o'clock ones, George, because we were used to it. We played them all the time. And if we caught one of the big guys at 11 o'clock in the morning, they weren't used to doing that. And I can remember beating LSU in Nashville, and it was an 11 o'clock game. And we got them good in the first half, and then they started coming back at us in the second. But it wasn't enough to beat us. So in some ways, I do think that is an advantage.
What else you got, Billy?
Next piece, staying in college football, Georgia Tech has let go of head coach Geoff Collins after their 1-3 start. They've also let go of their AD, Todd Stansbury. And I don't know that we were surprised by this, George, but are you guys surprised that it did happen this early?
Now, I don't pretend to know as much about the athletic director situation, even though I keep up with Georgia Tech because I ended up doing a couple of years of games down there. Watson, Geoff Collins has been dead man walking for about a month. The next one will be Carl Durrell at Colorado.
Yep, it's coming next, and unless it's Auburn, that's the next two on the list as far as I'm concerned, George. And Coach Collins, I mean, he just came in at a tough time because Coach Johnson had done a good job and won a lot of games. And then when they let him go, they expected to be better than what they were doing. And man, it went south fast, and it's so hard to me to come in and change an offense, to leave the wishbone and go to a modern spread offense of today's world, George. You don't have any talent on your team that fits that.
Right.
And so he lost that little bit of time. And then when he needed to get going here in year 4, man, they just aren't any better. So It's just that that's a tough deal. I'm not sure was a great take at that point, unless you were going to keep some form of the wishbone in your theories, because that's just such a different offense and a different type player you recruit for that offense.
Watson, I'm going to give you 2 names down there. I think you're going to agree with one and totally disagree with the other.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Pat Fitzgerald should be at the top of Georgia Tech's list.
Yep. Go talk to Pat immediately. I agree with that one.
Now, for inner city Atlanta and for recruiting in general, which Georgia Tech lacks, they were completely defenseless against Ole Miss. Here's a guy that gets that part fixed. Dion.
I 100% agree.
Do you really?
He's been a head coach now. He's gone through some of the things. He'd make sure he hires him a good staff, but he can walk in any home and have a chance to recruit that kid. And he's been in Atlanta for a lot of his career. So, I mean, that would be the 2 top names on my list right now. And both of them are head coaches. All the names I've seen listed so far, other than Dion's, are assistants somewhere that hadn't been head coaches yet. And Georgia Tech needs a quick fix, George. They need a quick fix or they're going to get in trouble. And I just don't think they can wait another 4 or 5 years before they get it going. So they got to bring in a better player fast. And Pat will understand Georgia Tech, and because he's been in that, even though it's not a private school, but it's got some private school things to it. And Dion, just immediate clout to me. I think you're right. That'd be the first 2 I'd go see.
What I know about Georgia Tech from experience is this. They owe a bunch of coaches a bunch of money, going back to Paul Hewitt, Brian Gregory in basketball, now this guy. They have got money trouble. And I don't know how they get around all that. They have turned their stadium into a 60,000 seat facility, but for the most part, the only people that ever fill it are Clemson with their fans and Georgia every 2 years. It's got a little bit of the battle that Vandy has, but a much bigger fan base.
Much bigger local fan base, George. That's what they have over Vanderbilt. But honestly, winning will take care of that. Paul Johnson won. The crowds got better. They weren't still fantastic because I think the style of offense that he ran, it was just something. Yeah. They like winning, but they just as soon as he started losing a little bit, George, they got him out of there. And I think the reason was offense more than anything else. But Georgia Tech is in a league that is not great right now. We know that, to be very honest. The ACC is catch-upable. And I just think they need a quick name recognition that is a good football coach. And Deion's done a good job at Jackson State. I mean, he's got them in the top 25 now. He's walked in there. We all said, what in the world? And yet he's built a pretty solid program. Yep. And Pat Fitzgerald is proven. So those two are the first two I'd go look at. And they've got experience.
Billy, rumble through the last three.
Last three here in the NFL, the Pro Bowl no longer.
Thank God. Keep going.
They're going to replace it with the Pro Bowl games, just a bunch of skills competitions. So
praise the Lord that we are rid of that game.
That'll probably be more entertaining than the game itself. So we'll see about that. But number 4, George, Tua Tagovailoa is apparently not in concussion protocol after his injury, and his status is still to be determined against the Bengals. I've heard that it's a back injury. So we'll have to see about that. Don't know if they're hiding anything.
Watson, are you at all? Not sure.
You know, he came back in and played and played fine. They let him stay in the game, put him back in the game, and he finished the game. So if he could do that, now putting him back in the game, I've got some questions about the way he was weaving out there. But he went through the game, and if he's not having headaches and dizziness or anything, I don't think they would put him in concussion protocol because he finished the game.
Yeah, I hope he's okay.
Investigation going on about how they treated that. So we'll see how that goes. Last piece here, the Brett Favre saga down at Southern Miss continues. Apparently he requested welfare funds for the football facility.
As well as volleyball.
That's according to
deal.
A court filing. So doesn't seem to be getting any better for old Brett.
Okay. You're going to want to check in on what we're doing after the break because it'll be time for Watson Brown's analysis. It's a Titans win, but do you really feel that much better about this team? I'll be honest, I do not. I don't think this is headed particularly anywhere all that good, but we'll get Watson's take on it. We'll hear Mike Vrabel's press conference around 4:40. Then at 5 o'clock today, we'll have the college football top 4 for the week and my studs and duds. A lot to talk about, including Tennessee's huge victory against Florida. And how about MTSU? Way to go, Rick Stockstill and that group of players for just cramming it down Miami's throat. Love it. Stay tuned. This is Main Street Media Television.
Buying or selling a home can be a very personal experience. Why not go with the team that receives nearly all of their business from referrals? Clearly a trusted name in real estate. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners has sold more than 500 homes in the last 7 years. Voted best in Sumner County multiple times. Proven to be trusted with your most personal assets. Call the Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners at 615-906-8458. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners, Middle Tennessee's most trusted team in realty.
I highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation because of their caring nature and attentiveness to detail.
Pre-planning your funeral now will bring you peace of mind and less stress to your loved ones. When the chaos of losing you happens, your family can honor and celebrate your life, knowing things are happening just as you wanted them to. Pre-planning determines the details of your funeral, cemetery services, and can be less expensive. We are honored to serve you and are always here for you in your time of need.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation. Traditional, affordable, dignified. SumnerFuneral.com.
Jody Jones Dentistry can handle all your dental needs, from the basics to cosmetic procedures. All of this in the nicest dental facility I have ever seen. Jody has done it right. They're located conveniently at 55 Music Square East, and for an appointment, it's simple. Dial 615-259-5100 and tell them Plaz sent you. When you're thinking about golf, consider Riverside Golf Links. Under new ownership, the course has improved dramatically. It's now 27 holes, complemented by a 9-hole executive course. Book a tee time now at 615-847-5074 and get ready to enjoy the beauty of golf in the Old Hickory area at Riverside Golf Links.
I'm Bart Durham.
I was sworn in as a lawyer in 1963, and I've been working as a lawyer since then.
We're a firm that does exclusively personal injury, a lot of tractor-trailer crashes. Insurance companies will open up their checkbooks when you force them to.
We have systems that work.
We get the most money for our clients in the shortest amount of time.
I'm Blair Durham. My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
This is Eric Berner with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. People hire me because I use a customized, individualized, and personal approach for the person I'm working with. Everyone's situation is different. If you've lost a spouse or a parent and want to make sure your inheritance is utilized and does not just disappear, I can help with that. Call me at 615-235-1058 or email Eric at rockcastlewealth.com.
We are back. Let's get down to Watson's Titans Update, brought to you, actually his analysis, brought to you by Pennington Distilling Company. Okay, Watson, I've taken a little bit of a negative view about all of this. I don't like the mindset that they've got right now, which is play not to lose in the second half. I think some of this is coaching issues of not knowing how to drop the hammer, because in the past they've had no problems knowing how to win. Suddenly they don't know how to win, and I think some of this is coaching.
Well, we'll analyze some of the things yesterday, George, but to me, I'm a little more positive than you, because a win can create a lot of good things. Just getting that, I thought that was the biggest game of the year, because if they lose that one, they're really in.
Yeah, they're toast.
Yeah, and to get the win and still not play great and do some good things, but have still a lot of question marks, I look at it as a very good positive situation going into this week, which turns into now just as big a game, because it's going to push one, either the Colts or us down, and the Colts had a big win too. So I don't know. I think the win may help us get past some of the things you're talking about, which we're going to get into here in just a minute.
Okay. In the first half, some really good coaching decisions, including the concept of Derrick Henry catching the ball out of the backfield, which I guess I'm asking the question, why is it taking him 5 years to figure that out?
I don't know, but I thought it was getting back to the basics. I think what they decided was he's got to play more in the games. If we don't do well on first down and he comes out, then he's out and he's not playing enough. So just the respect he gets, George, I thought it was a great – they went back to everything we talked about, everything. Running the ball with Derrick Henry, running downhill with Derrick Henry, throwing the passes that Ryan Tannehill throws the best, and playing Derrick on that second down, whether it's hand him the ball, fake it to him and throw a play action pass, or spread you out and leave him in the backfield and hand him the ball, or let him trickle out to catch balls. There's no doubt in my mind that the Raiders helped us yesterday a bunch because they crowded the box like we knew they would, but they played 3 deep zone behind it. So they weren't playing kind of a match soft, match zone thing. Our guys didn't have to beat anybody to catch those balls in those creases behind those linebackers. And Woods made a killing early in the game on a lot of those kind of things. The second half, the difference was they came out and played us man-to-man more. And then I don't know exactly, and we're fixing to get into that, but the first half, we score 3 straight times, miss 1, get the ball back and kick a field goal. Couldn't have gone any better offensively. And it was because they got back to what this team can do. And I think they learned from that. Now we'll start seeing that a lot more. But it also helped Derrick Henry for them to be in zone coverage. They drop in those zones back there, and they let Derrick just hook up. Now, you hook him up and let him get going forward before you get to him. That's a load.
You'll live to regret it.
And
he
so
was wide
I
open.
would bet you we're not going to see a lot of that from here on. They're going to want to play him man. They'll think they can play a linebacker on him man-to-man. And I think that they're not going to drop back in those deep zones on us on second down and 10 like they did yesterday in the first half.
Okay, so that's item number 1. Item number 2 to me, Watson, early they had 0 pass rush out of the front 4, and then it appeared they made some decisions that allowed them to get more pressure on Derek Carr.
Again, good coaching decisions. They start the game expecting with our normal front 4 on normal downs, first and 10, second and normal, whatever, on the normal downs. And the Raiders were passing the ball. They weren't running it very much at all. They just kept throwing it and throwing it and throwing it. So I think the Titans, which was a smart move, said, hey, they're not going to run it at us. They're not hurting us if they do. Let's put our pass rush group in there on these early downs. And then they got to do it the whole second half because they were behind. The Raiders were behind. They knew they were going to throw it. And I think the pass rush got better because of the people we had on the field to rush the passer. Our first unit, our base unit is not a great pass rush unit because it leaves Autry on the outside. He's not an outside pass rusher anymore. Used to be. But in our passing group rushing bunch, he moves inside. And that's when he becomes a factor. When Autry, he batted a couple of balls down yesterday, had a sack.
Yeah.
When he rushes inside in that 6'6", 6'7" frame and those long arms, it's when he becomes a big factor. And so that's why I think the pass rush got better, was the decisions the Titans made probably about midways of the second quarter.
Because up until then, Carr could have sat in a rocking chair.
He sat there. And you know, we're talking about the Titans, but, man, was I disappointed in Derek Carr. Golly bum, he holds the ball back there forever. They don't go to their big guys. They kept throwing to other people. How in the world do you not find Devontae Adams and Waller and throw them the ball, for God's sakes? And they kept going to these other guys, and they made some plays, but a lot of the sacks were just because he'd hold the ball back there forever.
Sure.
And those little option routes that we're doing to Derrick Henry, their guys open just as much as Derrick was, and Derek Carr never looks down to him. Unbelievable to me the way he's not playing very good at all, in my personal opinion. I saw where he blamed their practice habits are bad and all that. He's got to play better himself too, in my opinion.
And Josh McDaniels got to coach better.
Yeah,
Because
I didn't like the plan. I thought they should have been trying to be more balanced against us, and I sure didn't understand. You pay all that money. It's what we talked about with Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill. You pay them all that money, use them. You pay Devontae Adams all that money, and he catches 4 balls for 36 yards, and they never went up with him. They didn't try to get him loose with motioning him across and get him on a different defender. I mean, he was like he might as well have been hurt yesterday and not played because he was not a factor in that game.
So, Watson, your third point here is why I am not sold yet. I think they've got offensive line issues. There's no doubt they've got secondary issues. And as long as that continues to be the case, this is a 9-8, 8-9 kind of football team.
Well, yeah, and the second half could be offensive line issues on offense, George. We didn't really change the plan, I didn't think. I'll defend the play calling. We didn't change the plan, I didn't feel, watching it in the second half, but we didn't get any movement at all. And so when we'd hand it to Derrick, it was nothing.
Yeah.
And even some plays in the second half, they didn't bring 8 in the box. And we handed to Derrick and didn't get nothing. And so when Derrick doesn't get yards to keep the respect factor, then it's a little easier to defend us. And honestly, other than Swain, our tight ends aren't blocking a soul right now. The young tight end, not Hooper, but the young one we've got, 85, what's his name, George? You know me with names. He was the one that missed a big block on a third down that shot, and their really good defensive end hit Derrick 3 yards in the backfield, and it was just a lookout block, man. He didn't touch him. He didn't touch him.
Yeah.
I mean, just complete went free. And
whip.
So, yes, George, I still have a question mark by the offensive line. I'm not sure we're good enough to do what we want to do with Ryan and Derrick. I'm not sure we're good enough. And then the secondary, we just, I don't know that we didn't need one more corner signed, and what we got. I mean, Mitchell played yesterday, and the play that the plaster cam where they just ran 4 guys nonchalantly up the field in the plaster cam and just lobbed it up to a guy in the end zone. Just now watch. All 4 of these guys just nonchalantly run up the field, no moves, no nothing. And we throw it to the one-on-one guy, and I think they said, we're going to throw it over here on Mitchell and just lay it up and go over the top of him and catch the ball. And that's exactly what happened. On this play, this is on Derek Carr. Get the ball up in the air, throw it up high. He's open. Waller is open. If you can run that back again, you look, he's beaten Kevin Baer. He makes a move and just go vertical to the back of the end zone, and all Derek Carr's got to do is just lay it up, and he tries to drill it, and the linebacker tips the ball. So I don't know. I'm still concerned about our secondary and our offensive line. I just am.
I think we should be concerned with my photography.
Plaster cam was good.
I thought Plaster Vision was great.
Plaster cam is what I call it. It's plaster cam. We need more plaster cam. You got to go to Preds games now and get us a little plaster cam here and there.
We'll do it.
Maybe get something from the Sounds every once in a while. I'll send you to the Vandy game, and you can get us some plays there. You can get all the way to the front row down on Vandy if you want. You can get that one as tight as you want to get it down there, babe. So
that's awful. That is bad. Okay, so
it's true.
Watson, let me ask this. I don't agree with Terry on 4th and let's go with this one real quick. Tell me what they've got. Is Woods a 1A or a 2? What would you classify?
I think he's a B+. A- guy. I don't think he's a go-to guy. I don't think Burks is a go-to guy. I don't think Hooper's a go-to guy. I don't think we have one. Are we good enough to spread it around?
Burks will become one?
But he's not now. We're talking about winning games right now.
Yeah.
Going to the Colts, Indianapolis, and winning this game. Are we good enough to spread it around and not have a go-to guy? Because I think that's what it's going to be. Maybe the whole year. Maybe Burks becomes that late. Woods is a good addition. He'd be a great number 2. If we had AJ, Woods would be a really good player.
Yeah.
But to spread it around now, what we're doing, and that's what we are doing, it worked yesterday. Is that good enough? I don't know. That's a question mark to me. Are we good enough without a go-to guy, and are our spread around guys good enough? I think they are. But in you watching these offenses in pro football in today's world, George, nearly everybody's got one great guy.
Yeah.
One really good player that he might not catch but 4 or 5, but it's 4 or 5 big catches, man. They don't call on him till it's time to call on him. You saw it yesterday in the Bucs. You saw it yesterday with the Packers. Neither one of them got a go-to guy right now. I'm just not sure you can win the number of games we need to win by just spreading it around. I hope we can.
Why is Austin Hooper not more of a factor?
He's got to be a poor blocker because the young kid that we put in blocking as the second tight end was poor yesterday. So he's got to be a poor blocker. That's all it can be to me, because he and Swain need to be playing. But if they can't, because he can't block well enough in the style of offense we run, George, we've got to have a fullback and a tight end or 2 tight ends to block. And maybe he's just not good enough. The Titans have to answer that. They're kind of answering to me the way they answered Caleb Farley. He's not good enough to play yet. So we had to bring in a guy that's been on our team. We've practiced Caleb Farley all summer. And then we bring a guy in for 4 days and he plays the whole game. And the same thing, we practiced Hooper all summer, and yet he's not playing except kind of on passing situations. They're the ones that got to answer that one.
Okay, we'll go to the break, and then we'll hear part of Mike Vrabel's press conference following the victory. Watson's right. It's a win that could propel to better stuff, and in that respect, it's good. On the other hand, Mr. Negative, that would be me, is sitting there saying, why did that get to the very end? That's absurd. Ridiculous. Stay tuned. This is Main Street Media Television.
For Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly, they welcome every opportunity to serve and satisfy their clients. Whether you are looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and remodel is unique, luxurious, completed on time, and within budget. Contact them today to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects by logging on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
At WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics, we pride ourselves in providing access, innovation, and a patient experience second to none. Access to care and treatment when you need it. Innovation with medical-led cosmetics and various on-site technologies for full-service treatments with a customer experience that is calming, casual, and effective. Independently owned, providing medical, surgical, pediatric, and cosmetic dermatology and more. Visit WellSkinMD.com to schedule your appointment today. WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics. Access to healthier skin. It's your last chance to get a spring tune-up for summer. Complete Service Heat and Air can clean your coils, check out your motor, and make sure you have cold air on that first hot day of summer. Complete Service Heat and Air is located in White Bluff, Tennessee. We do service and repair on heating and air the right way. 24/7 service. Call us at 615-797-3997. That's 615-797-3997. Serving Cheatham, Davidson, Dixon, Hickman, Humphreys, Montgomery, and Williamson counties. Have you heard about the high levels of radon in Middle Tennessee? Radon gas is the second leading cause of lung cancer, second only to smoking, and has no color, no taste, and no smell. The only way to know if you have radon is to test for it. Duret Radon Mitigation offers testing for small and large-scale residential and commercial properties, plus mitigation services. Visit DuretRadonMitigation.com to request testing or get a free estimate for mitigation. That's DuretRadonMitigation.com. Since 1865, the First Baptist Church of Gallatin on Winchester Street has served its community by catering to the least, the last, and the lost, providing a church of welcome used by God to save the lost, transform the saved, and impact its community. As a proud multi-ethnic congregation, Pastor Derek Jackson personally welcomes you to join them in fellowship Sunday mornings at 8 in person or at 1045 in person or online at firstbaptistgallatin.org. First Baptist Gallatin on Winchester Street, serving with open arms as a true church of welcome.
Okay, let's get right to it. Mike Vrabel held his press conference earlier today. Without further ado, here's what he had to say.
Coin toss yesterday.
Yep.
You won it, but elected to receive. That's kind of unusual. Is that something the players decide? Was that something you saw from the Raiders that made you go that way?
No, I was just excited to, take the ball. Wanted to take the football and, try to finish that first drive with points, which is what we did. We had some, great conversions, and that was exciting to see. So, it's just something that before the game, I felt good about doing.
When you look back at the game, Nicholas Petit-Ferrari, it seemed like he played really well. What are your thoughts on his performance?
I would probably stop short of saying really well. I think that as a rookie, there's just so many things that come up new each and every game. I would say that he battles, he competes, he stays on his feet. He tries to finish in pass protection, and whether he, gets, maybe the guy gets the edge on him inside, he's got the ability to kind of stay with him and finish and take some of the shot off the quarterback. So I think it's just a process of getting the game plan details out to the field in a live environment when it's going fast and things are moving and changing and they're going to different people. So continues to progress. And really excited about where he's at. But I think it's a great place to start and continue to improve.
How did Dennis Daly hold up over on the left side?
Well, I think, Double D is, certainly trying to figure out what we do here on the fly. Doing a nice job competing, trying to get him to, continue to understand where he fits in our scheme and where he needs to be in combination with guys. But, we did a nice job pretty much all the day in protection against some really good guys. And so I think he's only going to continue to get better as well.
As you look back at the tape from the offensive standpoint, very happy with what you saw in the first half, and then the second half only had 4 possessions. What are some things you could clean up there to maybe to help moving forward?
Well, making sure we had the turnover, which was unfortunate. I think some of the gains and the runs that we had, in the first half, probably weren't there. For whether it's one guy here or pressure. But we had some opportunities. Felt like we could have got the screen going again. We had success with that in the first half. You know, wasn't able to get Nate out, for obvious reasons. If you watch, how they played him, not allowing him to get to the backer, and the conversions. We had some really cool third down conversions in the first half, and weren't able to get it. 3rd and 1. We didn't get many people blocked on that one. And then just making sure that we're better in 4 minutes there at the end. I thought the way that we finished the first half was 3 critical points. When you look at defensively, getting a stop, stopping the clock, 20-yard return. Caleb Farley did a nice job of getting to the second level. Robert does what we ask every returner to do, is make the first guy miss. I did a fantastic job with that. 21 yards to midfield, 21 seconds. The 2 timeouts. Nick sitting down, catching a contested pass, Ryan being decisive with it, and then getting the extra yards that we needed, and Randy coming through with a big kick. So those were 3 critical points. I think we all just have to, make a few more plays offensively and defensively and in special teams in the second half there. We had opportunities in all 3 phases.
Caleb just not taking stuff from the practice field to games, Mike? Is that fair to say? You're seeing some things from him in practice, and then it's not showing up on game day?
Well, I think that there's been some growth there, and we're going to continue to give him opportunities and make sure that he's ready to go, and that he's competing each and every week for that opportunity to play. Continue to help us on special teams, and we just all have to get comfortable in doing our jobs and making sure that we're understanding the call, we're understanding what the concept is, what it is that we're trying to get done, and whether you're playing pass rusher, you're playing a inside linebacker or a corner, and just making sure that whatever that call is, that it's getting executed, and that everybody's focused on doing their job.
You say Tuck will be comfortable. Is it a confidence issue for him?
Well, I can't really speak on anybody's confidence level except for mine. That's not something that I think that's for the player to understand. And we have full confidence in everybody that's here, that throughout the course of the season, or even this week, that the guys that are here, whether it's on the practice squad or on the active roster, are going to learn a game plan, prepare as a starter, have to go in there. Whether that's Dylan Cole, like he did defensively, or Josh Kalu, who had to go in there, it's some snaps, interior defensive linemen. And so that's what we ask everybody to do.
What's your evaluation process like, Mike, for that? So let's say that's position specifically during the course of the week that leads you to, here's the other guy we're going to go with?
I just wanted to try somebody else, try somebody new, and give somebody else an opportunity. And that may change this week. That's what it was on a short week. And, that could be something different for this game plan this week.
What's the stuff that you look for during the week, though, Mike, as you do evaluate?
Just an overall understanding. We don't have that many reps. Wednesday was a walkthrough, but there's certainly things that we would look for, is the ability to be able to match up, be able to understand what the zone coverage responsibilities are, the ability to play the correct leverage. And those are all things that we look for.
So is it more of a technique issue from an individual standpoint, or a scheme issue of him not maybe all the time carrying out the assignment correctly?
And just overall, just trying to make sure that everybody's ready to do their job, execute when their number's called, and find ways to help us win.
Where are you in that process? So as far as, because I know yesterday you said that you're still looking for guys that can cover. Is that something?
We're still looking for guys that can rush and can cover, when they do all those things. We're looking for as many guys as we can find, and we'll evaluate the guys that we have here and try to make the ones that we're rushing here and figure out the ones that can cover. And so, each week is going to be something different.
Had 5 catches yesterday. How nice was it to get him going in that way? And do you think that helped maybe open up the running game, or is that unrelated?
Well, I think it was what they were trying to do, is they were trying to get back to try to stop some of the intermediate, play passes that we've had, that we'd like to have success with. And I thought the best thing that Derek was available. He got to those spots quickly, and then Ryan was able to find him. Derek did a nice job of putting the ball away and turning up like we talked about and gaining some valuable yardage.
How big was it for Stonehouse to get off that 70-yard punt to at least put you in position to have them pinned back?
Take as many 70-yard punts as we can get.
Going back to Caleb, what is the balance for you in terms of wanting to have confidence in the guy that's out there to execute, and then also wanting to get a guy like Caleb who hasn't played a ton of football, that development and live game reps, and where does that balance lie for you when you make those personnel decisions?
I think that's just something that we have to look at each and every week, and hopefully that we can have a full week of practice and have a competition and see who, is going to be the guy that's going to go out and play for us, and what the rotation may look like as we work through what personnel they're in and what personnel that we end up playing.
How did Mitchell do, given that he'd only been here 4 days?
I think there was an understanding. They caught some balls on him. Obviously we did the job that we wanted to on Devontae and Darren, but Matt Collins really came up big. So give him a lot of credit. We just gave up too many X plays there defensively in the second half.
Back to Derek, how good is it to get him out in space like that?
Oh, Watson, let's get back to Caleb Farley for a minute. For all of the tap dancing around, if he were getting it done, he'd be in there. And a young guy who's been there 4 days gets in ahead of him. That's not a good sign on Caleb Farley.
No, Caleb's got to pick it up. It's obvious that he's not their guy right now, George, for two reasons. They don't bring this guy in if they're feel good at corner. We have had some injury, but Fulton was back and played pretty solid. And then to bring him in 4 days and start him is telling me that they were concerned about covering the Raiders guys, and I don't think they thought Caleb could do it. Yeah, the interesting thing Kevin Barrett said after the game, or in one of his quotes, it had to have been after the game.
Yeah,
he said, Mitch, talking about Mitchell, said he was on my side most of the day, and I was pretty much having to help him ever play on what we were in and what his responsibility would be. He said, we're a very complicated defense. And when he said that to me, that tells me that maybe, and I listened to Mike talk, that Caleb Farley is struggling picking up everything and is not put it all together yet. It might not just be a physical issue with Caleb Farley. It still may be more of a mental issue too. I don't know, but I thought that was an interesting thing Kevin Baird said, that we run a very complicated defense here.
Stat of the day after the break. Then to start the 5 o'clock hour, we get right into Tennessee's win over Florida. Later in that segment, Watson's top 4 in the country and my studs and duds. Whew, there are some duds. This is Main Street Media Television.
Serving Williamson and surrounding counties, Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee offers comprehensive orthopedic care with 16 subspecialized physicians. Our practice provides high-tech care with a hometown touch. We offer physician clinics, physical and occupational therapy, advanced imaging, and surgical services, including interventional procedures. Call us at 615-791-2630. We're Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee. High-tech care with a hometown touch.
This is attorney Bart Durham, and this is me. I'm Aaliyah. Keeping in good physical condition is really important to me. But when I had a wreck with a tractor-trailer truck that hurt my legs so bad I couldn't work for almost a year, I knew I needed a lawyer that understood tractor-trailer cases. So I called Bart. Bart gets millions of dollars for his clients every year.
At Bart Durham Injury Law, we've handled hundreds of tractor-trailer cases.
My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
Hey, this is George Plaster, and I'm excited to announce that the second annual Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night is going to happen Monday, November the 28th at the Hermitage Strike and Spare. The three charities that will benefit are Last Minute Toy Store, Martha O'Brien Center, and Stars. And our intention is to get them that money so it can do the most amount of good at Christmas time. Now, here's where I need your help. I need you to sign up to play in the most fun charity event you've ever been involved in. Imagine 64 foursomes with 64 sports personalities in the area. As a single player, it's $200. If you get a foursome, it's $800. And what I want you to do is reach out to me via email, plastergeorge@gmail.com, and we'll get you signed up and get you ready and raring to go. Again, that's plastergeorge@gmail.com for a night you will never forget.
Welcome to the Omni Nashville Hotel. Urban elegance with a vintage touch. Our 800-room hotel opened up in the fall of 2013 with 746 guest rooms and 54 suites.
Hey everyone, I'm John English. This is Keith Wallace, and we would like to welcome you to John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee.
We specialize in graded and ungraded sports and non-sports cards, vintage wax boxes, and unopened cases. We have a large selection of PSA graded cards. We also specialize in old sports collectibles, baseball, football, basketball, golf, and tennis. You can find it all at John English Antique Sports and Cards.
We are happy to be associated with Nashville's greatest sports antique, George Plaster.
We've got Tennessee, Florida analysis coming up here in just a few moments. But first, stat of the day presented by John English Antique Sports and Cards and Eric Berner with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors. John English, of course, located in Shelbyville, Tennessee. They specialize in antique and historical sports equipment, games, advertising, and other sport-related items. Visit them in Shelbyville, open Tuesdays through Fridays from noon to 5 o'clock and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Visit them online at johnenglishgradedcards.com and call Eric Berner with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors. That's 615-490-7052, or visit them on the web at rockcastlewealth.com for more information. Speaking of more information, we've got stat of the day information. Here's the question. Since the start of last season, which NFL team is 0-6 in one-score ball games?
What do we mean by one score? Do we mean touchdown? Do we mean field goal?
This is one score as in a touchdown or a field goal. So a team that's not very good in close games down the stretch, and they were a playoff team last year.
I'm going to say the Raiders.
Well, hold on a second. Let's think about that.
I'm going to let you guys sift through this.
Yeah, do not butt in.
Had all three of this year's Raiders games been one score?
Let's see here. They opened. Where the heck did they open? Of course, we know Arizona. We know the Titans, both one-score games. They opened against the Chargers. That was a one-score game. You know what, Watson? I'm with you. Bring it on.
We're going Raiders?
You're damn right we are.
Okay, we'll see about that.
Whatever.
The Buffalo Bills.
The dumb question. Watson.
Well, we tried, George.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, our effort is good. Our execution.
I would not have thought that it would have been the Bills, so we wouldn't have got that one anyway.
Perhaps if the punter doesn't kick the up man in the butt, they'd be better off. Wow.
That wasn't the Bills that did that, was it?
That was Miami, wasn't it?
That was Miami that did that.
Either way, it is never good to kick your up man in the butt.
That's not the punter's fault, George. When you're inside 3 yards and you do that 3-man across punt thing that a lot of people are doing now.
Uh-huh.
When you do that, or even your one guy back there, when the ball's inside 3 yards and you're backed up, you move the guys up. That's not on the punter. The punter's back as far as he can possibly be. I think it's on the coaches. I hadn't studied it close. Now, they may have backed up a little, but they're not supposed to back up. They're supposed to step up when the ball snaps. So this was on the protectors, not the punter. He's catching grief over something that isn't even close to his fault.
Okay, stop there. We have much more important stuff to get to. Billy, lay it on us.
It is the 5 o'clock hour presented by Middle Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic. They combine state-of-the-art orthopedic service with a family atmosphere. Whether it's a sports injury, a sprained ankle, or a major joint replacement, MTBJ has the staff, training, and equipment needed to take care of any patient in any circumstance. Visit them online at mtbj.net for more information.
Do we have the proper music? This song was played 94 times on Saturday.
I've probably heard it 94 times myself.
So they knocked down their Berlin Wall. Florida had beaten them 16 of the last 17. Watson, it seems to me it's still a lot of the same stuff we've known. Offensively, they can line up with anybody. Defensively, I'm not sure.
George, we said it all week. They will outscore Florida. And if they learn how to put a game away, they would have done it with double digits. But the difference, the reason it was closer than I thought it would be, was Richardson played really good.
Better than even he played against Utah.
Yes, that's his best game by far. He looked healthy again. He looked fresh. He's moving around everywhere. Those couple of games in between, I think Kentucky hurt him. If they didn't hurt him, Utah had hurt him a little and we didn't know it. But somewhere in there he got hurt, in my opinion. And then they didn't let him do much for a little bit. And then when it's a big game again, like the Kentucky game was for him, they put him back on show. And, I mean, he came through. I thought he played great. But, I mean, Hendon Hooker, I'm not hearing him yet. George, if he stays healthy and they ride the season out and win the games they're supposed to, he's got to be a Heisman Trophy candidate. I mean, he's got to be one of the 4 because his stats at the end of the year are going to be they're going to be unbelievable. And so, I mean, who would your 4 be? Not to change the subject, but I mean, Hooker would be there with Young at Alabama and the quarterback at Ohio State. And I have to throw the QB at Georgia.
I was going to say, you got to put Stetson Bennett in there.
I think 3 of the 4 Heisman candidates are in the SEC right now, but Hooker has got to be one of those guys. If he stays healthy, I think he will be one of the guys.
Okay, we believe, by the way, for those just joining us, the Tennessee LSU game a week from Saturday in Baton Rouge, 11 in the morning. Huge break. Less alcohol, perhaps more hungover from the night before, but it's easier to play LSU in the daytime than it is at night. I believe they can go toe-to-toe with LSU, and I think you agree with that, right?
Absolutely they can.
Okay. Are they getting to a point where they could go toe-to-toe with either Alabama or Georgia? And obviously it's defensively where they lack when you ask that question. But are they any closer?
A little. They're close enough to win any game and outscore their opponent. That's what I would say. They're close enough that maybe the offense can score 1 less touchdown and still win the game. That's the way I look at it. They're not a bona fide defense by any means. And again, Richardson played his best. So I'm going to keep throwing that in there. He just really played well and made play after play. And the other thing is, give Florida credit. They went for 4 or 5 fourth downs in their own territory and made them. You don't make those, gosh, what could the score have been? And if they hadn't gone for them, what would the score have been? That means they would have punted 4 or 5 more times. So how many more points would have Tennessee scored? I thought that's a big piece of that game was the decision to go for those fourth downs. And I think it's going to happen more because Billy Napier, in my opinion, I had to talk to him, but I think he sat there and said, we can't give them the ball back. We've got to score points if we're going to have any chance to win. And it just so happened they made those fourth downs. Tennessee can't let them make all those fourth downs like that. That tells you, again, they're still average on defense. But this offense was solid against Georgia last year, solid against Alabama last year. I think it's a better offense this year than it was last year. Hooker is doing more things better. They've expanded the offense with him, and he's got more weapons than he had last year, George. So I'm telling you, I think Tennessee can play. And don't leave out Kentucky. I still think, man, Kentucky, Alabama, and Georgia, I think they beat LSU. I do. I think they'll beat LSU. I think it's Kentucky, Alabama, and Georgia are the 3 biggies left on that schedule after they beat LSU.
Okay. So let me try it this way, because it would seem off what we know, Tennessee fans are dying to be able to say this, and I understand it, that they want to get to that next level, which is Alabama, Georgia, and then a drop-off of some level to Kentucky, LSU, Tennessee, not necessarily in that order. Don't anybody throw anything. Florida,
yeah,
to a point. But let me ask this. Can Tennessee's offense hang 35-40 on either Georgia or Alabama, which appears to me to be the only way they're going to pull off one of those?
That will be the big question mark. I think they can get close to it. I think they can get in the high 20s against those 2 teams. I don't know if that'll be enough. That's what I'm saying is the defense, have they knocked it down at least 1 touchdown to where the offense doesn't need to score? I don't know. I think they have, but I don't know. But if I'm Tennessee, we're getting way ahead here. If I'm playing those 4 that I've got left on the schedule that are biggies, and Ole Miss, we can't forget. But the top 4, LSU's defense is showing it's pretty daggum good. And then Kentucky and Alabama and Georgia, I would go that day. I don't care what it is. I'd go as fast as I could go because they got to outscore them. I'd go as fast as I can go and try to wear them down in the second half. And it worked on Ole Miss. Both teams were wore out. That's what I do in those games. In a game like Florida, I would mix it like they did. But when I get to Alabama and Georgia and Kentucky, I would go as fast as I can go. I'd try to wear them down.
Okay, you may have seen this, and if so, tell me after I ask it. Under the category of sometimes Vegas knows more than we do, what do you think the line is? Kentucky at Ole Miss Saturday.
I hadn't seen it. I'm going to say I bet Ole Miss is favored because that's what they do in the SEC. When these teams are close to each other, they seem to give the home the favorite. I'm going to say 3. Ole Miss and 3. How much?
6.5.
Too much.
That's what I think.
Too much. Kentucky is still not getting the respect.
No.
It amazes me. That's too much. I don't even know that I wouldn't pick Kentucky to win the game, but for sure 6.5 is too much.
Okay, let's go to Watson's top 4 as he has them right now. We'll start with number 4 and then work our way up. Not that this is any deep mystery, but go.
I still got Michigan 4. They've only played 1 opponent so far, and it was a very close game at home. So I'm not as high on them this week as I was last week. They could have lost to Maryland. They didn't. They won the game. So I still got them 4, a distant 4 from the other 3 though. Distant 4.
You have Clemson at 5, don't you?
I have Clemson at 5. The quarterback played better, not against a very good defense. Wake Forest is not very good on defense, but he played better. And I think the ACC is, if they win this week at home against NC State, George, I mean, it's a walk to me.
Yeah.
The ACC is just not very good. That's why I think Clemson will end up 4. Michigan will lose to Ohio State if they don't lose prior to that. If Clemson wins Saturday at home against NC State, I don't see anybody else that can get them.
What do you think is the gap between Ohio State and the 2 big boys?
Not much at all. Not much at all. I think those 3 are all flip a coin. They'd be great games. They'll be great football games. If any one of those 3 played each other, it would be a great football game. I don't think there's a drops difference in any of them. In college football, interesting, George, those 3 are better, but still in college football today, just like the NFL, Georgia goes out and kind of lays an egg. Well, they weren't going to lose, but they let a Kent State hang around. College football is interesting. You better be ready to play every time you go out there, buddy, because anybody in the SEC can beat you on any given day.
By the way, the noise you may have heard in the background is MTSU scoring again on Miami. How about that?
Oh, that's unbelievable. And really, they hadn't been a great offense up to that point. They really hadn't. I mean, they scored a lot of points against TSU, but they should. It's an FCS opponent. Yeah. And they really hadn't let loose on offense yet. And my gracious, they hit bomb after bomb after bomb. Good going. I love those games. Of course, I've been an underdog all my life. So when some of those start popping up, I just giggle, man. And proud of Middle Tennessee to go in there with poise. And that's not a tough place to go play, especially when it's not a real good, it's not an image-wise good opponent. So there probably wasn't very many people there. The quarterback, did you see what he said before the game?
No.
He got benched in the game.
Van Dyke.
But he said, Van Dyke said, I had rather play all of our games on the road because when we play at home, we don't have anybody there. Basically, is what he said. I'm going, God, I promised the head coach had him around. I grabbed him by the shirt, man, and unbelievable statement right before you're fixing to play a game. So and then he gets benched. So,
well, you know where Rick Stockstill played in college, right?
Florida State.
Where did he play?
FSU. So he loved that.
Oh, he did love it then. Absolutely, he loved it.
He had some good comments after the game. He was fired up.
By the way, if you're wondering, and I know you're not, Alabama is 2.
Yes.
And Georgia is 1. Thank you, Captain Obvious.
Yeah, and I could have switched Georgia on that performance Saturday, but I just know how that works. Just sometimes they were good enough to still win it. I don't think they beat the spread, but they still won the game good. And Alabama played solid. I mean, Bryce Young doesn't play in the second half of the Vanderbilt game. So, I mean, it's hard to say when your opponents are inferior to you that week. That's why I just left it alone. It's going to work itself out. There's some good games coming, and one of them this week with Alabama going to Arkansas.
Yeah, and Clemson and NC State.
And Clemson at NC State. 2 of the top 5 got biggies. And I'm going to tell you, Michigan at Iowa is no give me either. Now, Iowa at home in big games are tough to beat. I'm not saying they won't, but because they're not going to score very many points. But Michigan's not scoring a lot of points, George. They had a kid rush for 240 yards the other day, but they didn't look like a solid offense as I jump around and watch some of it. They didn't throw the ball very well the other day.
Okay, let's go to studs and duds.
We start with studs. The first stud of the weekend, the Blue Raiders.
I love it. Way to go. Chip Walters, their play-by-play voice, will join us in about 5 minutes. Way to go. Number 2, Kansas, their first sellout since the Peloponnesian War. I don't even know when the Peloponnesian War was,
But what the Peloponnesian War is.
I don't know what it is they were fighting over, but I'm sure it was something really important, probably like cargo. I don't know. Who the hell cares?
Cargo.
Yeah, keep going.
Up next, another Kansas team, K-State upsets Oklahoma.
Who saw that coming? Good.
And guess who played fantastic?
Adrian Martinez.
Adrian Martinez. He played George.
He's
I
the
watched
Oklahoma
the
killer.
last part of
And
that.
Scott
He
Frost
played
is sitting
unbelievable.
in Lincoln going, what the hell?
All the Oklahoma fans thought he was the problem.
Well,
he was.
Yeah. And
No, that score's worse than it looks.
Oh,
Kansas
it was.
State beat them good.
Yeah, they
beat them
dominated.
good.
The Red
Texas
Raiders.
Tech hates Texas.
Oh,
they think
believe
Texas is the snotty country club, J.R. Ewings. Texas Tech is a bunch of country people out in the middle of nowhere. They loved it.
Oh, man. I'm telling you, the Red Raiders, another one of my teams, my boys.
Speaking of this being Watson's team, look at this picture. Watson and Rex Dockery. This is from the book Only as One. The words and wisdom of Rex Dockery.
Oh, wow.
That's young Watson.
I'm either 26 or 27 years old right there.
Wow. That was
good. I had a great time there. Coached a kid named Ron Reed, who was a true freshman quarterback and was a great player that year. We did not beat Texas, but we didn't get to play them there. But after I left there, they played them there the next year. And I kept up with it from then on after being a Red Raider. And every year, they don't win them all the time, but they always play them tough. Bringing the Blue Bloods down to Lubbock, man.
Let's get to the duds.
Time for the duds first, Miami.
Out. Get them out.
Tough one for Cristobal.
Number two,
Boise State.
I'm going to make up the rumor right now that Brian Harsin, once he gets booted at Auburn, is going back to Boise State. They haven't got a lick of talent. UTEP, which is horrible, ran them off the field in the second half. UTEP. For God's sakes.
They got middle next week or this week, this Friday, I think, right?
Who does? No,
that's
Texas San Antonio.
UTSA, the other one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep going.
Up next, Michigan State. Dominated at home.
That was
Did you watch any of that, Joe?
They got the crap kicked out of them.
How can Michigan State fall off like that in a year?
I don't know.
Somebody bet on them.
For $95
Minnesota
million.
looked like they were playing a MAC team.
Yeah.
They were running right through them. I mean,
Minnesota beat the crap out of Michigan.
Beat the crap out of them.
And then
ECU.
East Carolina can't beat Navy at East Carolina. Really?
Yeah.
This is not a great Navy.
Yeah, no, after you had blasted Navy. I mean, blasted Navy.
They took that one on the chin.
Navy needs to quit playing college football. They're so bad.
Okay, two thoughts as we go to the break.
I think that wasn't Navy a dud that week.
They've been a dud the first 2 weeks.
You made them one of your duds that week. So.
Two thoughts. Number one, Michigan State's a fraud. And secondly, memo to Jimmy Garoppolo. That line back there is there for a reason. If you step on it, it's a safety.
The old Dan Orlovsky.
What the hell was he thinking? It's like he had no clue where he was.
How about some quarterback play yesterday, George? Garoppolo last night just walks out of the back of the end zone and then throws the ball. It should have been picked off, but it wouldn't have counted because he's already out of the end zone. And then Tom Brady lets the clock run out on the 2-point play. I'm going, the GOAT sit there and let the –
Twice.
There's nothing that upsets me more than throwing an interception than a quarterback letting the clock run out. I have jumped so many quarterbacks in my time. How in the world does he let that happen?
I don't know. But after the break, the happiest man going, other than maybe Rick Stockstill, is MTSU's play-by-play voice, Chip Walters. He counted the crowd down at the old Orange Bowl, Joe Robbie, or whatever it is they call it now. He was able to count the crowd at the end. We'll talk to him next on Main Street Media Television.
Buying or selling a home can be a very personal experience. Why not go with the team that receives nearly all of their business from referrals? Clearly a trusted name in real estate. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners has sold more than 500 homes in the last 7 years. Voted best in Sumner County multiple times. Proven to be trusted with your most personal assets. Call the Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners at 615-906-8458. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners, Middle Tennessee's most trusted team in realty.
I highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation because of their caring nature and attentiveness to detail.
Pre-planning your funeral now will bring you peace of mind and less stress to your loved ones. When the chaos of losing you happens, your family can honor and celebrate your life, knowing things are happening just as you wanted them to. Pre-planning determines the details of your funeral, cemetery services, and can be less expensive. We are honored to serve you and are always here for you in your time of need.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation. Traditional, affordable, dignified. SumnerFuneral.com.
Jody Jones Dentistry can handle all your dental needs, from the basics to cosmetic procedures. All of this in the nicest dental facility I have ever seen. Jody has done it right. They're located conveniently at 55 Music Square East, and for an appointment, it's simple. Dial 615-259-5100 and tell them Plaz sent you. When you're thinking about golf, consider Riverside Golf Links. Under new ownership, the course has improved dramatically. It's now 27 holes, complemented by a 9-hole executive course. Book a tee time now at 615-847-5074 and get ready to enjoy the beauty of golf in the Old Hickory area at Riverside Golf Links.
I'm Bart Durham. I was sworn in as a lawyer in 1963, and I've been working as a lawyer since then.
We're a firm that does exclusively personal injury, a lot of tractor-trailer crashes. Insurance companies will open up their checkbooks when you force them to.
We have systems that work.
We get the most money for our clients in the shortest amount of time.
I'm Blair Durham. My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
This is Eric Berner with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. People hire me because I use a customized, individualized, and personal approach for the person I'm working with. Everyone's situation is different. If you've lost a spouse or a parent and want to make sure your inheritance is utilized and does not just disappear, I can help with that. Call me at 615-235-1058 or email Eric at rockcastlewealth.com.
Proud of the boys in blue. Man, they got it done Saturday. And let's face it, none of us saw that coming. Maybe not even Chip Walters, their play-by-play voice, who joins us from somewhere where a Rick Stockstill radio show is about to happen. Chipper, where are you?
We're at the Boulevard right here off the edge of campus at the corner of East Main Street and Greenland Drive. And yeah, we start at 6 o'clock tonight and expect a pretty good crowd in here.
Oh, I would hope so. Listen, by the way, thank you. Chip will be one of our celebrity bowlers November the 28th for an event we are very excited about. I'm not saying there'll be great bowling, but there will be a ton of fun in that deal.
That's correct.
Okay, so you counted the crowd at the end. How many Miami people were left at the buzzer?
I could care less. All I was cared about, the number I was cared about was 45-31. But when Middle knocked the pass away on 4th and goal at the 1 and turned around on the next play and went deep and scored there, you know, Middle led the whole way, but when that happened, whatever was there, I think they listed 46, which was quite generous for the day. My guess was that there was probably about 30 there when it was at its peak, maybe. But they were still mad from last week, and when Middle intercepted the first two passes of Tyler Van Dyke on the day, boy, I'm telling you, the Boo Birds came out, and you know what that is when your own people turn on you, and the kind of internal pressure that can cause. And we've all seen it, and I don't envy them for that, but it played into our favor, and our guys answered the call. And they've been to enough places like that where there's not going to be any intimidation. And Coach Stock said he told them right before they came out, he goes, guys, you've seen all this smoke and all this stuff in the past, but he goes, I'm telling you, Michael Irvin, Benny Blades, Ray Lewis, Alonzo Highsmith, they're not coming out of that tunnel today. So believe in yourself, believe in what you've done so far, and go play. And that's what they did.
Chip, is this Middle's greatest football win ever?
Well, I think, however, I can make an argument for a lot of things. I think it's what criteria are you going to put on it? Is it the biggest win as far as how a team was ranked? And that's obvious that it is. I asked Coach Stock following the game Saturday, I said, asked him that question. I said, do you think this is the biggest win here? And he said, well, up until today, he goes, I would have said winning at Missouri about 4 years ago would have been the biggest.
Yeah.
But I also think that I think you have to take into account circumstances and impact on a program. And I think if you go back to whenever the Vandy Middle Series started back in the early 2000s, and when my former broadcast partner Wes Counts was the quarterback and DeJuan Hicks was the running back, and they won in Nashville. We had more than half the people in the stadium that night, and Hicks had a huge run on a 3rd and 8, something like that, late in the fourth quarter, and brought it about 30 yards down to about the 10-yard line. And Wes ran a naked bootleg and scored on a quarterback run there. To me, that had so much impact as just because of what it meant locally.
Yeah.
But, I think there's a lot of ways you can juggle that. Like Kyle Turnham and I, we argue all the time. He says, Michigan State in basketball, no question, biggest win ever. But I said, beating Kentucky in 1982, that was the first one.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to quite let go of that just yet.
That's a really good one. Chip, have you met Watson Brown?
I think so. Mr. Brown, how are you today?
Chip, you look good in blue, babe.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I liked you in black and gold, but you look good in blue.
Well, I appreciate that, and I liked you too. We had some great conversations.
Oh, didn't we though?
Me, you, and Brenda down in the locker room after the game. It was always interesting.
Oh, it's always interesting. I got kicked a few times with things I said that she'd be kicking me, saying, "Don't say that when you're." So that's just the way it goes. Chip, I mean, what in the world happened? The offense has been decent, but they'd scored a good bit the week before, but as an FCS opponent, which they should. And then all of a sudden here, it just goes crazy. Did Miami press them and let them run by them like that? Or what?
There was some of that.
The big scores like that.
Yeah, there was some of that, Watson. But I tell you, to me, it all goes back to Frank Peasant running the football and being at least good enough to make them be honest and to have to honor the run game, which, that goes back to the Colorado State game. He rushed for 92 yards that day, came back with 122 against Tennessee State. He rushed for 74 the other night, but it was enough to keep Miami honest and keep them in the box. And the other thing too, complementary football. The defense, the last 3 weeks, Middle's won all 3 of them. In the first quarter of those 3 games, Middle's gotten either a defensive score or a special teams touchdown early in the first quarter of those 3 games, and it just kind of changed the whole mindset. And you've also got a group of linemen who have come back and have overcome some injuries. They brought in a lot of linemen this year, and they've come back and really, they kept Chase pretty clean the other day against the Miami rush. And the other thing, I give Mitch Stewart a lot of credit, the new offensive coordinator. He learned what he had, and knowing what kind of pressure was going to be coming at Miami, they kept Chase on the move for the most part. And then I thought he made some really particularly good calls, especially when you're backed up 1st and goal or 1st and 10 at your own 2-yard line. And my pal Geoff Murphy, who's former quarterback and now my analyst, right before they snapped it, he goes, "Man, here's a great place to take a shot." And sure enough, that's what they did. And when DJ England Chisholm caught the ball, there was no chance after that, because his speed is as good as you'll find anywhere. And I even went back and looked at the video with football equipment on and running a route. He still ran 99 yards in 11 seconds. So I'll take that.
Yeah. I thought the reading about it, I didn't get to see it. That's why I'm asking you some of these questions. But when Miami has got 4th and 1 and throws the ball, I mean, for God's sakes,
yeah,
you're playing a group of 5 school. You're supposed to be a top 25 team, and they throw a ball instead of trying to hand it off and score, and then it don't work. I mean, what a slap in your face that Middle just did right there. I mean, and it also tells me the respect they must have had to throw the ball there, Chip. The defensive front for Middle is supposed to be one of the strengths of the team anyway. And when I read that, I said, "Holy cow, man! That is respect to not hand that ball off and try to score right there."
Well, they averaged 1.3 yards a carry in the run game on Saturday, and a little tidbit: the tight end for Miami, he's a Mackey Award watch list guy. It's Bill Mallory's grandson, the longtime coach at Indiana.
Oh, wow!
And it's his grandson, Will. Interestingly enough, Scott Schaefer, who is our defensive coordinator, coached with Will's dad at Northern Illinois when Will was born. And when I had my visit with our coordinators last Thursday, Coach Schaefer, in particular pointed out Will Mallory and talked about what a good player he was. And he goes, "And oh, by the way, I used to change his diapers in DeKalb, Illinois." So just kind of one of those inside football stories that kind of gives it a little more personality to it. But he's been their best weapon. But Tyler Van Dyke just got shook early, and he was throwing behind all day long. And then when they put the backup quarterback in, Jake Garcia, he immediately led him down the field. Now, he was the quarterback on that 4th and 1, but Miami just didn't have any confidence in their run game at that time because it had been stuffed all day.
Yeah. Last thing, George.
Time for one last one.
Okay. Last thing. Great win, but you've got a short week against one of the best teams in Conference USA and one of the few games on television. I think it's Friday, right? Not Thursday. It's Friday.
It's Friday night on CBS Sports Network. And, I don't like Friday games just because of how much respect I have for the high school game in our state. But you're kind of, as you well know, you're kind of at the leisure of what the conference says, and it is
kind of,
yeah, 100%. But the other flip side to that is every team that's on the road for games this weekend, they're watching, and you want to put on a good show for all the other folks.
They got to get ready to go again. They got to get ready to go because this is a good opponent.
And I'll say this to that is that Miami had the better brand. UTSA is the better football team.
Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
Yeah. And I'll throw another one in there. James Madison's better than Miami.
Yeah. Well, they proved that by beating App this weekend. So
yeah.
Pretty good.
Chipper, do a good show and tell your Florida State grad football coach not to lie about how satisfying it is to beat Miami.
Oh, he's been hey, let me tell you, he's been pretty open about that. He told me today, and you'll love this, is that one of his former teammates who was at Doak Campbell on Saturday night said got in the stadium early, and our game was finishing up, and it was probably an hour and a half before kickoff there in Tallahassee. Well, they put our game on the video board at Doak Campbell Stadium,
love it,
and said the Florida State fans just started chanting Middle Tennessee, Middle Tennessee. So there's some juice still there, believe me.
I love it. Hey, you were good to do this on short notice, Chip. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate
Tell
the
Coach
ask.
Scott congrats, Chip. Tell him
I
congrats.
certainly will.
Absolutely. Okay. So there we go. What a heck of a victory for them. As we start the break, we reintroduce ourselves to Brian Stewart. Brian, I'm George Plaster. I'm the host of the show. How you doing?
Oh, George, I'm great, man. I'm glad to be back. I didn't realize that French Lick. I'd never been there. Basically, the only thing I knew about French Lick was that Larry Bird was from around that area. I think from West Baden.
He was called the Hick from French Lick.
Yeah, there you go. So it's me being a hick, I guess I was there. So there you go. I was a hick in French Lick. It was a great trip. Got to learn a lot about Tennessee real estate and some of the things that are being handed down from the national level. Before I get started, I want to go off of just what I just saw. I'm a huge Alabama fan, huge Titans fan, but even with those two big victories this weekend, the MTSU winning at Miami by 2 touchdowns.
Amazing.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Loved it.
It's huge for that program, huge for Coach Stockstill. That guy's a class act. How can you not love that man? So huge shout out to him and the borough. I have a lot of friends up in the borough area, and yeah, that was just a fantastic win. So coming back from Indiana and seeing that was just a perfect way to cap off the weekend. But as always, George, we were out there learning. Me and another agent from my office went up there. We learned a lot. We brought it back. We're implemented into what we've got going for the last quarter of the year. Just some great stuff going on. You see the new logo behind us. I've heard nothing but positive feedback from that. Like I said before, George, we changed the logo. We've got a new look, but it's still the same principles, still the same values here at One Stop Realty. We care about our clients. We care about referrals, and we're always going to take care of who we have in front of us and not worry about what the future holds. We just take care of business right now. And if you want to be a part of that, we're always looking for new agents. We're, looking to expand into the Nashville, Green Hills market and open an office there. Also looking to try to get into the White House market as well with an office there. But just great things on the horizon, George. We're excited about it.
Love it. You behave until tomorrow. Don't go away for 5 days again.
I can't do that, George, because I did miss you guys. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't even I did go to the Liberty Creek football game Friday night. I didn't get to call in to Billy's show. But, yeah, I do not like venturing far away from you guys. I miss y'all for sure.
Brian, thank you as always.
Thanks, George.
We'll go to the break. We'll get into more college football talk. Auburn, it's a train wreck. Who's the next coach that's going to get fired? Georgia Tech dumped Geoff Collins today, and you knew that was coming. And a little more on Tennessee's big win over Florida. This is Main Street Media Television.
For Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly, they welcome every opportunity to serve and satisfy their clients. Whether you are looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and remodel is unique, luxurious, completed on time, and within budget. Contact them today to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects by logging on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
At WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics, we pride ourselves in providing access, innovation, and a patient experience second to none. Access to care and treatment when you need it. Innovation with medical-led cosmetics and various on-site technologies for full-service treatments with a customer experience that is calming, casual, and effective. Independently owned, providing medical, surgical, pediatric, and cosmetic dermatology and more. Visit WellSkinMD.com to schedule your appointment today. WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics. Access to healthier skin. It's your last chance to get a spring tune-up for summer. Complete Service Heat and Air can clean your coils, check out your motor, and make sure you have cold air on that first hot day of summer. Complete Service Heat and Air is located in White Bluff, Tennessee. We do service and repair on heating and air the right way. 24/7 service. Call us at 615-797-3997. That's 615-797-3997. Serving Cheatham, Davidson, Dixon, Hickman, Humphreys, Montgomery, and Williamson counties. Have you heard about the high levels of radon in Middle Tennessee? Radon gas is the second leading cause of lung cancer, second only to smoking, and has no color, no taste, and no smell. The only way to know if you have radon is to test for it. Duret Radon Mitigation offers testing for small and large-scale residential and commercial properties, plus mitigation services. Visit DuretRadonMitigation.com to request testing or get a free estimate for mitigation. That's DuretRadonMitigation.com. Since 1865, the First Baptist Church of Gallatin on Winchester Street has served its community by catering to the least, the last, and the lost, providing a church of welcome used by God to save the lost, transform the saved, and impact its community. As a proud multi-ethnic congregation, Pastor Derek Jackson personally welcomes you to join them in fellowship Sunday mornings at 8 in person or at 1045 in person or online at firstbaptistgallatin.org. First Baptist Gallatin on Winchester Street, serving with open arms as a true church of welcome.
Okay, we're back, and let's talk a little bit more college football. Watson, other than the fact that they won, I don't think anybody is fooled by how bad Auburn is. Holy cow. I don't think – oh, okay. I guess I don't think twice then. Watson, here's what I don't get. They play a second quarterback on Saturday with TJ Finley hurt. They end up having to go to a third quarterback, but the kid, Zach Calzada, who was good enough to do pretty darn well at A&M a year ago, transfers to Auburn, and they're telling us he's the fourth quarterback? Help
no,
me with that.
He's hurt.
Is he?
He's taken a medical red shirt.
Okay. Well,
so
then
he's out. To give Auburn credit now, they have hurt 3 quarterbacks in 4 weeks.
Not good.
So not good. All they got is a true freshman left, I think. I don't know how bad Finley. I don't know how bad any of these quarterbacks are hurt, and I don't remember who have they got this week. Are they off this week?
Billy, who have they got?
We talking A&M?
No, we're talking Auburn.
Auburn. Let me see.
Look it up. They may be off this week.
I think they are.
Let's see.
Well,
Auburn. It looks like they are off.
Yeah, which may be
Bless
couldn't have come at a better time for those guys.
Never mind. They got LSU at home.
Oh, that's right.
That's
That
right.
will not be, that's not going to.
They're not winning that one.
So,
They're not winning that one.
Watson, let me ask you this. In Auburn's mess, the thing I noticed Saturday, I didn't think they were all that good on defense.
I don't think their players are very good right now compared to Auburn's past.
What you're normally used to.
Auburn has not been very seldom in Georgia the last 30 years anyway. Since Pat Dye went there, I would never say they were middle of the pack. Auburn's always been up in that upper echelon of talent, and they're not. I don't see a lot of football players, so I'd put them down in there with I don't think they're as good as Ole Miss or Mississippi State. Would you agree with that?
Yep. I absolutely would agree.
I put them down below that. So they're right above the Missouri, South Carolina, right in that mode to me. And that's going to not win him enough games. And I think the next big loss, that's a good one, a good loss. I mean, he would have got it this week, in my opinion.
Had the kid just scored instead of stuck the ball out?
Well, it'd have been first and goal on the one anyway.
Yeah.
You, as a coach, we all teach don't do that unless it's fourth down, but that's hard. You get excited, you want to score. Boy, you think it ain't rough in Missouri today. What a way to lose. Miss a field goal right to win the game and in regulation, and then in overtime, they've got the game won, and they fumble into the end zone. I'm going, wow.
Before I go any farther, Watson, do you remember John Denver's song, Sunshine on My Shoulders?
Oh, absolutely I do.
Okay. You need to look at you right now. Sunshine on my... Okay. So I made up the rumor earlier that Brian Harsin, when he gets it at Auburn, ends up back at Boise State.
There we go.
What in the world has gone on there?
I'm sorry, I was getting the sunshine off of my shoulder.
What has happened at Boise?
They got to have no talent. I watched just a little of that when I saw the score. I said, I got to turn over and see what the heck. They don't look very good, George. And they got no offense. I mean, Boise's always been a creative score point kind of thing, outscore you. Goes all the way back to that beating Oklahoma in the bowl game that year, and they don't have any offense. They fire their offensive coordinator after the game and bring in another guy. I don't know. Gracious sakes, Boise and Auburn. You're just talking about two that are so far down from where they normally are that it's near not discussable. It's so bad.
Right. So we've had, and help me if I've missed, Herm Edwards got the boot at Arizona State. Scott Frost got the boot at Nebraska. Jeff Collins today got shown his walking papers at Georgia Tech. Any more that I'm missing?
No, that's the big three so far, but we've got more hanging.
Yeah, so. Carl Durrell will be getting the axe soon enough at Colorado. He got a vote of confidence from Rick George, which I don't think is worth the paper that it was printed on. Colorado has gone.
Woo, another one.
Man.
Another one.
Unbelievable.
I don't know. And the going thing, George, is to let these guys go in midseason, which none of us are used to.
It never.
Like I said, I was in the business 46 years, and I that wasn't the going thing. And it is now.
Back then, you might get it a week before the final game and be allowed to coach the final game. I don't ever remember growing up this ever going on.
No, I mean, I was with Coach Gibbs at Oklahoma when he got it, and they let him coach the bowl game, which we all had to go to after he was fired. So it's just a different world. I don't know really what the pluses of that are. unless you feel the team is disarray and the kids don't care for the guy or don't respect the guy, then I can get it. But other than that, George, how is it a good thing? I mean, you can be behind the scenes hunting your next coach without firing your coach.
I think what is different, Watson, is the level of media pressure that is now in there on the coach who is dead man walking. I mean, Geoff Collins has been dead man walking for about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And so with each passing week, he was going to end up getting has anybody talked to you yet? He's probably, now look, I don't know Geoff Collins. I do pay attention to the Georgia Tech stuff. I bet he walked out of there today completely relieved. Not only that, but a little richer as well, but probably relieved that it's over.
Yeah. And George, the other thing that is totally different than in my heyday, my time of right in the middle of my time as a head coach, the Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
Oh my God.
I mean, things fester now so much quicker, and the fans then fester when they read that stuff. You read that stuff on Twitter and Facebook, and everything you read in a person's eyes, which I've never understood, is fact. You know, why can't you read something and say, well, that isn't right? But everything that somebody writes is fact, and then everybody believes it. And then before you know it, you've got yourself a fire that you got to put out. And I think you're right about that. The communication ways in the world today and the media on top of that makes it really hard.
I'm not convinced that coaches, other than just the sheer victory when it happens, I don't think they're having any fun.
No, I can tell you, as I got down in my career, a win became relief, George, and the loss were still hurt just as bad as they did when I took my first head job at 28. And but when you won one in my latter years, it just became relief. And I'm not just talking about at Tennessee Tech, my latter years at UAB.
Right.
When you win one, it just became, you take a deep breath, and then you get up the next morning and you feel the pressure for the next one. But there is so much pressure, scene pressure now. The coach sees so much more. He hears so much more. Used to be that Brenda had to put up with all that. Yeah. And I never would hear it. I'm in a back room, but now you can't keep from hearing it and somebody say something to you. Did you see what was on Twitter today? I mean, it's just out there. And the other thing is the players see that stuff.
Sure they do.
They read it all the time. And I would tell every team, especially in my latter years, don't read like, yeah, okay. They're not going to do that. And so it is harder. It's much harder to keep everybody together than it used to be.
Yeah. Watson, speaking of a standard of excellence, Plaster bet of the day. We've had a couple of weeks where we've taken on water, but I'm here to tell you that I came out swinging last Friday, and we're going to find out what I mean by that. So you just stick around.
I'm going to. And you were taking on so much water, buckets wouldn't get it out. So, I mean, you were sinking fast, brother.
Big old rowboat.
Yeah, it wouldn't have mattered. Well, you were sinking. So let's see how you did. I'm anxious to hear because I don't know.
Stay tuned. This is Main Street Media Television.
Serving Williamson and surrounding counties, Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee offers comprehensive orthopedic care with 16 subspecialized physicians. Our practice provides high-tech care with a hometown touch. We offer physician clinics, physical and occupational therapy, advanced imaging, and surgical services, including interventional procedures. Call us at 615-791-2630. We're Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee. High-tech care with a hometown touch.
This is attorney Bart Durham, and this is me. I'm Aaliyah. Keeping in good physical condition is really important to me. But when I had a wreck with the tractor trailer truck that hurt my leg so bad I couldn't work for almost a year, I knew I needed a lawyer that understood tractor trailer cases. So I called Bart. Bart gets millions of dollars for his clients every year.
At Bart Durham Injury Law, we've handled hundreds of tractor trailer cases.
My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
Hey everyone, I'm John English. This is Keith Wallace, and we would like to welcome you to John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee.
We specialize in graded and ungraded sports and non-sports cards, vintage wax boxes, and unopened cases. We have a large selection of PSA graded cards. We also specialize in old sports collectibles, baseball, football, basketball, golf, and tennis. You can find it all at John English Antique Sports and Cards. We are happy to be associated with Nashville's greatest sports antique, George Plaster.
At Sumner Funeral and Cremation, our mission is to serve families as our own, celebrate the life of their loved one, and help begin the healing process.
My whole family, including my wife and my mom and siblings, were very happy with the treatment that we received. I would highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation.
We offer funeral, burial, cremations, and pre-planning services.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation. Traditional, affordable, dignified. SumnerFuneral.com.
It is now time for Plaster's Bet of the Day, powered by Bart Durham Injury Law. They have aggressively protected the rights of a broad range of victims of car accidents and personal injury in both Tennessee and Kentucky. If you too have seen your life interrupted by an injury on a highway, in a hospital, or at your workplace, let their attorneys do the work fighting for the full financial compensation that you need, while you and your family focus on your complete recovery. Learn more about Bart Durham Injury Law by logging on to bartdurham.com. George, let's take a look at the results over the weekend. 4 out of the 5 bets were won that you made this past weekend, and you're sitting at 35-41 now. You got the Cal Bears victory, of course, on
solid
on Saturday. The
Keep
teaser with Auburn and Tennessee hit. I had a good feeling about that. I figured that would hit.
Lucky on the Auburn end.
Yeah, a little bit lucky. The Titans hit on Sunday as well, and the Bears hit on Sunday as well against the Texans. So Michigan State was the only fraud there.
Be the last time I go out on a limb on them for a while. So Watson, let's just say it the way it is. Daddy's back.
God.
Well, at least you're taking a bucket and putting the water out now. So there's still a little water in the boat, George, but you can at least keep your head above water now anyway.
Watson, let me just say that I feel very good about where we're going tonight.
All right, let's see it.
Okay, everybody.
America's team.
Take the Cowpokes. First of all, this kid, Cooper Rush, he's pretty good. He will not get rattled. The Giants are a misleading 2-0. Everybody, the Giants, the G-men, yeah, whatever. Dallas wins this game outright.
I'm not as confident as you are with that one.
Really? Tell me about it.
I probably would pick Dallas, but I don't know that would have been the one I picked out of all games.
Well,
I might have gone to
like
baseball route. I think this is going to be a really good game.
I
agree. It's going to be a really good game and a really
Dallas
close
is going to
game.
win it.
Well,
you want me to give you a score?
Yeah.
Okay. It'll either be 19-13 Dallas or 19-17.
No, going to be more points than that score. I'm going to go against you on that one too.
Okay.
It's going to be in the 20s.
The over-under tonight of how many times they show Jerry Jones in his box.
In his palatial estate.
Yeah, what do we say? 8?
Oh,
I go over that.
I go over on that one. Especially if it's not going well.
Oh, absolutely. Now,
That's
if
when they
it's
go
not
more.
going well, they'll be.
If it's not going well, double it. Double
you'll
it.
be able to see nose hairs. They'll be so close.
And if they're winning the game, he's going to show up on the sidelines, and you're going to see him a bunch down there. So
Yeah.
I'd put over on it either way.
They're going to get him either way. Okay, tomorrow on the show, Tony Basilio. I can't wait to find out how long he was on the air Saturday night.
I don't know if he went to bed.
I'd say it was 3 a.m. And
I turned it on at like 11:30. They were rolling.
They were still going strong.
Yeah.
And then at 5 o'clock, Brad Logan will join us, covers Ole Miss football. The Hotty Toddy Rebels are a 6.5-point favorite at home against Kentucky Saturday morning to get your college football weekend going. Watson, try to behave until tomorrow.
I will. I'm going to pull for the Cowboys tonight just because you got them to it.
Thank you. Billy,
George,
just try to be the best of who you are.
I'll be the best producer there is.
We'll see you tomorrow. This is Main Street Media Television.